So good day students. So as promised that I will be sending a video to you regarding with the notes that Ma'am Canizares had sent to our GC. So to begin with, let us discuss first the first topic that I have written on the board. So the first topic is the fundamental rule of proportion. So the fundamental rule of proportion states that if W is to X is equal to Y is to Z, then we could rewrite this proportion into W over X is equal to Y over Z. Now don't be confused because in writing a proportion in mathematics, there are a lot of ways to be considered. Pwede tayong mag-ilan yung forma in a form of means and extremes. We could also write this we could also write the proportion as in a fraction form, just like this one. Oh, don't be confused because these two proportions are the same. We could rewrite W is to X as W over X. We could also write Y is to Z into Y over Z. Okay, nasabtan na ba? Okay, it also states that provided that X should not be equal to 0 and Z should not be equal to 0. Okay, why is that? Why is that X and Z should not be equal to 0? Okay nga naman. Okay, in mathematics, the denominator of all expressions, tanan yun. Tanan expression, mapaunsa pa na siya, quadratic, linear, trinomial, as long as ang denominator, dili sila dapat 0. Okay nga nun dahil kung 0. Nga nun dahil akong x muna 0, akong z muna 0. Okay ha? If ang imong x or imong denominator sa imong expression or sa imong fraction is 0, matawag na siya o undefined. Undefined means there is no definite answer, which means that the expressions that you have is unsolvable. Dili na mas-solve basta ang denominator is 0. That is why the fundamental rule of proportion states that x should not be equal to 0 and z should not be equal to 0. Okay, nasabtan? Okay, let's proceed. So the first properties, let us proceed to the properties of proportion. So the first property is the cross multiplication property, or also known as the means extremes property. Okay, what do you mean by the first property? Cross multiplication property, or also known as means extremes property. Okay, to begin with, ato sa niunahon si means and extremes property. So the first property of proportion, it states that the means, the product daw sa means, ang product ng means is equal to the product of extremes. Okay, what do you mean by product? Product means multiply. Kung ato nang i-multiply ang means o ang extremes sa atong proportion, ang answer daw ay equal. Okay, let's prove that. Let's say that we have 3 is to 6 is to 9 is to 18. We have an example proportion on the board by using the first property, which states that the product of the means is equal to the product of extremes. So that is the means extremes property. Okay, let's try to prove if equal with yun ang product sa means o sa extremes. So the means of our proportion is katong nasa sulod. Okay, always remember ha, means means middle. Ang number na nasa sulod, and the extremes are the numbers outside in our proportion kanina sa gawas. So ang product daw ani niya is equal to the product of these numbers nga nasa gawas or kilis atong proportion. So ating multiply first the means. So the means are 6 and 9. So 6 times 9 is equal to what? 6 times 9 is equal to 3 times 18. So this is the product of the means is equal daw to the product of extremes. So ato you prove kung equal daw. So 6 times 9 is equal to 54 is equal to 3 times 18. 3 times 18 is also 54. So therefore, the first property has been proven by using an example proportion using the means extremes property, which states that the product of the means is equal to the product of extremes. Okay, nakuha ka? Okay, let's proceed. Ano na ipapason? Oh, pwede ako nyo ma-post na screenshot. Okay, next is we have, since we are done explaining the means and extremes property, let us proceed to cross multiplication property. Okay, what do you mean by cross multiplication property? Cross multiplication property, it means that you're just going to multiply it ang iyang atbang sa ubos mo ng cross x. Okay, yun sa mo na. Okay, cross multiplication property, you're just going to cross multiply. Cross multiply rin ito na. That is w times z and x times y. So w times z is equal to wz. And x times y is equal to xy. That is just a cross multiplication. More than enough. Okay, let's put that into perspective of having an example of proportion in a fraction form. We're going to fraction form and cross multiplication property. So let's have 2 over 4 is equal to let's have 8 over 16. So we have here an example of proportion. Okay, by using the cross multiplication property, ato i-cross multiply ang atong proportion. So that is 2 times 16. Kay cross man, so that is cross. 2 times 16 is equal to 2 times 16 is equal to 4 times 8. So that is 4 times 8. Cross multiplication. So 2 times 16, 32. Is equal to 4 times 8, 32. No problem. The two given are just the same. Ang cross multiplication property, or can be called as well means extremes property, is parehara yun sila og solution because ang imong proportion bisag unsa pa nang forma, as long as they are the same with katong proportion nimo nga naka fraction form, parehara gyud una og answer bisag asa ang cross multiplication or means extremes property ang imong gamiton. Okay, next. Ako na papasok. The second property is we have the alternation property. What do you mean by alternation? Okay, from the word alternate, not fully. O, basin ka niya itong modular, basin alternate niya itong klase. Natin klase karon. O, by the following days, wala. O, sunod na asal. Basin ka natin submit sa inyong mga papers. Okay, so the first, the property of alternation, we have if w over x is equal to y over z, then we could rewrite this proportion into w over y is equal to x over z. Okay, from the word alternate, i-alter niya ang y o ang y o ang x, gibaylo niya ang duha. Niingon siya, by using the alternation property, kung ako niya ibaylo ang x and y, may nga siyang forma, which is just the same with this one. Kani daw kani nga proportion, kay pareha daw ani. Okay, so ito paggabaw, kung kani proportion, pareha ba ani nga, ato man gibalin si x, na nadiri sa babaw, ang kaning si y, na nadiri sa ubos sa w. So ito paggabaw, may equal na doon. Okay, let's put that into an example. Let's say we have an example of, let's say our w is equal to, let's say our w is equal to 5, and our x is equal to 2. Okay, let's tell that. This is our w, and this is our x. Is equal to, let's say our y is equal to 20, and our z is equal to 8. Ngayon si alternation property, if imo daw ning ibalit ang x and y, pareha mo siya o answer. Okay, let's check kung pareha ba. But before we alternate our given proportion, ato sa isolve daan. So that is 5 times 8 by cross multiplication. So 5 times 8 is equal to 2 times 20. So we have 5 times 8, 40 is equal to 40. Okay, check na. Okay, let's try to use the alternation property. Ato i-alter si x and si y kung pareha ba gyapon o answer. So that is 5 over pila si y. Kaya ito nang gibalin. So y is 20. Is equal to si x ato nang gibalin. Na nadiri si x. So 2 man dira itong x. Therefore, diri nga itong x which is 2 over z. Z is 8. Okay, tanawa, pareho ano? Pareho rin kayo using cross multiplication property. So that is 5 times 8 is equal to 2 times 20. Wala yung nausap sa atong answer. Kaya ibaylo na nato ang 2 and 20. O dala, natin 20 and 2. There is 20 and 2. Gibaylo na ito ha. By using cross product, ay cross multiplication property, wala dyan mausap sa atong answer. So that is what meant by the alternation property. You could alter the means or the extremes if you want. What's yung problema? Ang ganing x and y are called the means and w and x are called the extremes. As long as ang imong i-alter ang means and extremes, right? Ayaw sa i-alter si x and si z without directly without checking it. Kaya basta niya i-alter mo na, dili siya ma-equal. Dili parehaan din ha, na-equal yun siya. Okay, nasabtan? That is what meant by alternation property. Gibalhin ano mo. So, the given proportion, we have 5 over 2 is equal to 20 over 8. O, by using the alternation property, gibaylo na to si 2 and si 20. O, nandirin si 2 na sa tumaw, si 20 na sa ubos. Ato gi-check by using the cross product, ay cross multiplication property, if the same, magyapon, yung answer. So, pag-check na to, the same ra, gihapon. That is why alternation property has been proven by using this ratio, ay proportion. Okay, next. Next is we have the inverse property or most commonly known as the reciprocal property. Familiar tayo from the word reciprocal, which means ibalhin sa ubos. Ang nas babaw, nas ubos, ang nas ubos, ibalhin sa babaw. Ano yun? So we have here the statement, if w over x is equal to y over z, we could rewrite this into x over w is equal to z over y. Okay, kasi natapon niya rin. Okay, i-apply na nato ang inverse or what we so-called as reciprocal. Ikuha na nato reciprocal for our proportion. So the reciprocal of w over x is x over w. Gibaylo ra ang duha. And then si y over z, gibaylo ra sa memo z over y. That is the reciprocal property. Okay, nasabtan? Okay na may example. Okay, example yan po. Bisa pag, so, yung pa ng panahon pa lang daan, hindi na kailangan mag-example. Okay, this same area po na ang answer. But, insist yun nga na example. So, we have 2 over 3 is equal to, let's have 10 over 15. Okay, by using the inverse property or reciprocal property, let's check kung the same lagi po ang answer. Oh, before we use the inverse property or the reciprocal property, ato sa i-move check kung pila yung answer namin. So, by using cross multiplication, that is 2 times 2 times 15 is equal to 3 times 10. Applying cross multiplication, 2 times 15, that is 30, is equal to 3 times 10, 30. So we have here the proportion. Okay, let's apply the inverse property or the reciprocal property. Let's reciprocate or ato na ibaylo ang kanya atong given proportion. So atong 2 over 3 mahimo na siya 3 over 2 by applying the reciprocal property. Next, we have 10 over 15. Ay mo na tong 15 over 10. Okay, tanawa sa mata. Pareha ba yung answer? Pareha yapon. 3 times 10. 30 is equal to 2 times 15. 30. So that is what meant by the inverse property or reciprocal property. No questions? Sa'yo no? Okay, it doesn't mean that this property nga, bawal siya sa specific gamiton. For example, let's say we have an example of given proportion. Dili pasabot nga, ay, dili, si alternation property ang gagamitan niya. Ay, dili, si 3, si inverse property ang gagamitan. Dili. You could use all the properties that you want. Like, as long as you were able to solve the given problem. Nasabtan ba? Okay, now let us proceed to the fourth property.